Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Unleashed. In today's episode, I will talk about a very famous productivity book called Getting Things Done. The author is David Allen. He wrote this book to help people organize their work, their plans, and their daily responsibilities. Many people today feel very busy. They have many tasks. They have emails to answer. They have meetings to attend. They have personal responsibilities, family duties, and many small things to remember. Because of this, their mind often feels full. Maybe you know this feeling. You are trying to relax, but suddenly you remember something. You remember an email you forgot to send. You remember a bill you need to pay. You remember a message you need to reply to. Even when you are resting, your brain is still thinking about unfinished tasks. David Allen says something very interesting in his book. He says that our mind is not designed to remember everything. Our mind is very good at thinking. Our brain is very good at creating ideas. But our brain is not very good at holding many tasks at the same time. When we try to keep too many things in our mind, we feel stress, we feel pressure, and we feel something that David Allen calls mental clutter. Mental clutter means that your mind is full of unfinished things. Imagine your mind like a desk. If your desk is clean, you can work calmly. But if your desk is full of papers, books, notes, and objects everywhere, it becomes difficult to focus. Your mind works in the same way. When too many unfinished tasks stay inside your mind, your brain cannot relax. David Allen explains that unfinished tasks create something called open loops. An open loop is something that you started thinking about, but you have not finished yet. For example, you need to call your bank. You need to prepare a presentation. You want to start exercising. You want to learn a new skill. All these ideas stay in your mind like open circles. They are not closed yet. Because they are not finished, your brain keeps reminding you about them again and again. This is why sometimes a small task can follow you all day. You might think, I need to send that email. I should call my friend. I should clean my desk. It still stays in your mind. David Allen explains that the real problem is not the work itself. The real problem is trying to remember everything. Our brain does not like this. Our brain wants to know that things are organized. Our brain wants to know that tasks are stored in a safe place. This is why the first big idea in getting things done is very simple. Do not keep tasks in your head. Put them into a trusted system. A trusted system means a place where you collect and organize all your activities. This system could be a notebook. It could be a digital app. It could be a simple list. The important thing is that your brain trusts this system. When your brain knows that a task is written down somewhere safe, it can relax. You no longer need to remember it. David Allen says that when people start writing down all their tasks, something surprising happens. Their mind becomes calmer. Why? Because the brain finally understands this task is recorded. I do not need to remember it anymore. This idea may sound simple, but it is very powerful. Many people try to be productive by working harder. They try to do more tasks. They try to move faster. But David Allen says productivity is not about working faster. Productivity is about thinking clearly. When your mind is clear, you can make better decisions. When your mind is calm, you can focus better. When your mind is organized, your work becomes easier. In the book, David Allen shares an example. Imagine that someone asks you to organize a small event. Maybe it is a meeting. Maybe it is a dinner with friends. Maybe it is a small conference. At first, you may feel a little stressed. Why? Because your mind suddenly thinks about many things. Where will the event happen? Who should be invited? What time should it start? Do we need food? Do we need equipment? All these questions appear in your mind at the same time. But when you start writing these ideas down, something changes. You write, find a place, invite the guests, prepare the schedule, organize the food. Now these tasks are outside your mind. They are visible. They are clear. And because they are clear, they feel more manageable. This is an important word, manageable. Manageable means something that you can control step by step. When tasks stay inside your mind, they feel big and confusing. But when they are written down, they become smaller. They become more clear. And they become easier to complete. David Allen says that many people live with stress because they try to control everything inside their mind. But the mind should not be a storage space. The mind should be a thinking space. This means your brain should be used for ideas, decisions, and creativity, not for remembering 50 small tasks. When your mind becomes free from these small reminders, something interesting happens. You become more focused. You become more creative. You become calmer. And you can work with more energy. This is the beginning of the getting things done method. The goal of this method is not only to help you finish tasks. The real goal is to create something that David Allen calls a mind like water. A mind like water means a calm mind. Imagine a quiet lake. When the water is calm, it reflects everything clearly. But when the water is shaking and moving everywhere, the reflection becomes unclear. Our mind works in the same way. When our mind is calm, we can think clearly. When our mind is full of stress, our thinking becomes confused. David Allen believes that a good productivity system should help you create this calm state. No pressure, no stress, but clarity. In the next part of this summary, I will talk about the first step of the getting things done method. This step is called capture. To capture something means to get something. This step means learning how to collect all your tasks, ideas, responsibilities, and worries in one safe place. Once you learn this step, you will begin to see how powerful this method can be. David Allen says that if we want to feel calm and organized, we must first remove tasks from our mind and place them into a trusted system, collecting everything that has your attention. Your attention means anything that your mind is thinking about again and again. For example, maybe you keep thinking about something like this. You need to reply to an email. You need to buy groceries. You want to start learning a new skill. You need to finish a project. You want to plan a trip. All these things take space in your mind. Even small things can stay in your thoughts for a long time. David Allen says something very important. He says that if something has your attention, it should be outside your mind, not inside it. This is why the first step of the system is to capture everything. This means you collect every task, every idea, every plan, and every responsibility and put it in one place. David Allen calls this place an inbox. An inbox is simply a place where things arrive. Many people know the word inbox from email. When someone sends you an email, it appears in your inbox. But in the getting things done system, an inbox can be many things. It could be a notebook. It could be a simple list on your phone. It could be a digital task manager. Some people even use small pieces of paper. The tool does not matter very much. The important thing is that you have one place where you capture everything. Imagine that during the day, you suddenly remember something. Maybe you remember that you need to book a doctor appointment. Instead of keeping this thought in your mind, you quickly write it down. Now your brain does not need to remember it anymore. Later, maybe you have another idea. You think about starting a new exercise routine. Again, you write it down. Later, someone asks you to prepare a report for next week. You capture that task too. By the end of the day, many small ideas and tasks have appeared in your inbox. David Allen says this step is extremely powerful. Why? Because your brain begins to trust the system. Your brain understands that every task will be captured somewhere safe. So the brain stops repeating the reminder again and again. Many people feel immediate relief when they start capturing everything. They feel lighter. They feel calmer. It is like cleaning a messy room. At first, the room is full of objects everywhere. But when you start collecting things and putting them into one box, the space begins to feel clear. Your mind works in the same way. However, David Allen gives one important rule. The rule is this: capture everything. Do not decide if something is important or not. If it appears in your mind, capture it. For example, maybe you suddenly think about reading a new book. Write it down. Maybe you want to repair something in your home. Write it down. Maybe you want to learn a new language. Capture that idea too. Your inbox should become a place where every idea can safely arrive. Later, you will decide what to do with these ideas. But during the capture stage, your only job is to collect. Many people do not realize how many unfinished thoughts they have. When they start capturing everything, they sometimes write down 50 or even 100 items. Some are big tasks. Some are small reminders. Some are dreams or future goals. But all of them take space in the mind. When these items move out of the mind and into a system, the brain begins to relax. David Allen also explains that capturing should happen immediately. If you wait too long, you might forget. Or your brain will continue thinking about it again and again. For example, imagine you are walking outside and suddenly you remember something important. Maybe you need to send an important message. If you say to yourself, I will remember later, your brain will continue repeating this reminder. Your brain says, good, this task is safe now. Many people today use their phones as their capture tool. They open a simple notes app and quickly write down tasks. Other people prefer a small notebook. Some people like digital productivity apps. Again, the tool is not the most important thing. The important thing is the habit of capturing. David Allen says that once you build this habit, your mind begins to change. Instead of carrying tasks all day, your brain immediately sends them to the system. Your brain becomes free again. But there is another important detail. Your inbox should not become a place where tasks stay forever. The inbox is only a temporary space. It is like a basket where you collect things before organizing them. Later, you will process the inbox and decide what each item means. But that step comes later. For now, the only goal is simple. Capture everything that has your attention. David Allen believes that this step alone can change people's lives. When you stop carrying dozens of reminders in your mind, you feel lighter, your attention improves, your focus becomes stronger, and your mind becomes more peaceful. All right, now a new question appears. Your inbox is full of ideas. It is full of tasks. It is full of reminders and plans. So, what should you do next? David Allen explains that the next step is called clarify. Clarify means understanding what each item really is and deciding what action is needed. When many people look at their task list, they feel confused. This happens because many tasks are written in a vague way. For example, imagine you wrote something like this in your list. Project. This is not clear. What does project mean? Does it mean you need to start the project? Does it mean you need to finish it? Does it mean you need to talk to someone about it? Your brain does not know. And when the brain does not know exactly what to do, it often avoids the task. That is why David Allen says every task must become clear and specific. Instead of writing project, you should ask yourself an important question. What is the next physical action? A physical action means something real that you can actually do. For example, open the project document, send an email to the team, write the first paragraph, schedule a meeting. These are clear actions. When your brain sees a clear action, it knows exactly what to do. And when you know what to do, the task feels much easier. David Allen explains that many people feel stress because their tasks are not clear. Their lists contain big ideas, not actions. For example, imagine a list that says health, career, house. These words are too general. They do not tell your brain what action to take. But when you clarify the task, it becomes clearer. For example, health might become call the doctor to schedule a checkup. House might become clean the kitchen table. Career might become update my resume. Now the brain understands the task. This simple step can change the way you work. David Allen also explains that when you clarify a task, you should ask another question. The question is this: is this task actionable? Actionable means that you can actually take an action now or soon. Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. If the answer is no, you have a few choices. Maybe the idea is something you want to do in the future. For example, maybe you capture the idea, learn photography. You cannot start this today because it is a future goal. So you might place this idea in a list called someday or maybe. This list is for ideas you want to explore later. They are not urgent tasks. They are responsibilities. Sometimes you might decide that an item is not important anymore. Maybe you wrote something down, but later realize it does not matter. In that case, you simply delete it. This is also part of clarifying. You decide what deserves your attention and what does not. But if the answer is yes, and the task is actionable, you move to the next decision. You ask another question. What is the very next action? Remember, the next action must be something real and specific. For example, imagine you captured the idea, plan vacation. This is still too big. But when you clarify it, you might decide the next action is search for flights online or check hotel prices. Now the task becomes clear. David Allen explains another important idea. If the next action takes less than 2 minutes, you should do it immediately. This is called the 2-minute rule. For example, maybe you need to reply to a short email. If it only takes 1 minute, do it now. Do not write it down and organize it. just finish it. Why? Because organizing a tiny task sometimes takes more than doing it. The 2-minute rule helps keep your system simple and efficient. Small tasks disappear quickly. Your list becomes shorter. Your mind feels more organized. Another situation can also happen. Sometimes the task cannot be done by you alone. Maybe someone else must do it. For example, maybe you need information from a colleague. In this case, you delegate the task. Delegate means giving the responsibility to another person. But even when you delegate something, you should still record it in your system. You might create a list called Waiting For. This list contains tasks that other people are working on. For example, waiting for the manager to approve the budget. This list helps you remember what you are expecting from others. So, during the clarify step, you make several simple decisions. You ask, what is this item? Is this actionable? What is the next action? Can I do it now? Should someone else do it? Or is it a future idea? Each item becomes clearer and more organized. David Allen says that when people learn to clarify tasks correctly, they experience something powerful. Their tasks stop feeling heavy. Their lists stop feeling confusing. Instead of looking at a big, stressful list, they see clear next steps. And when every task has a clear next step, work becomes much easier to start. In the next part of our summary, we will talk about the third step of getting things done. This step is called organized. Organized means putting each task in the correct place inside your system. Think about a kitchen. In a kitchen, every tool has a place. Plates go in one cabinet. Glasses go in another cabinet. Forks and knives go in a drawer. If everything has a clear place, cooking becomes easier. But imagine a kitchen where everything is mixed together. Plates are in the sink. Forks are on the table. Pans are on the floor. Cooking in the kitchen would feel stressful. Your productivity system works in the same way. If tasks are not organized clearly, you will waste time looking for them. Your brain will also feel confused. David Allen explains that a good system needs several different lists. Each list has a specific purpose. One of the most important lists is called the Next Actions list. This contains small tasks that you can do as soon as you have time. These tasks are already clear. You already decided what the next action is. For example, your next actions list might include tasks like send a report to the manager, call the dentist, buy groceries, write the introduction of that article. These tasks are ready to be done. They are not big ideas. They are real actions. When you have free time, you can look at this list and choose something to do. Another important list is called the projects list. In the Getting Things Done system, a project is anything that requires more than one step. For example, plan a vacation, write a research paper, organize a conference, move to a new apartment. Each of these goals require many steps, so they are called projects. The projects list helps you remember all the bigger goals you are working on. But remember something important. A project itself is not an action. You cannot do a project in one moment. You must break the project into smaller steps. Each project should always have at least one next action connected to it. For example, imagine your project is plan summer vacation. Your next action might be search for flight tickets online or check hotel prices in Rome. Once that step is finished, you decide the next action again. This is how projects slowly move forward. David Allen also explains another list called waiting for. We mentioned this list earlier. This list contains tasks that other people are responsible for. For example, waiting for John to send the contract, waiting for the teacher to review the assignment, waiting for the repair service to call. This list is important because it helps you remember what you are expecting. Sometimes people forget that they are waiting for something. Weeks pass and nothing happens. But when you have a waiting for list, you can review it and follow up if necessary. Another useful list is the someday or maybe list. This list contains ideas that you might want to do in the future, but they are not important right now. For example, learn to play the guitar, start a small business, travel to Japan, write a book. These are interesting ideas, but they are not urgent tasks. Instead of letting these ideas stay in your mind, you place them in the someday or maybe list. Later, when you have more time, you can look at this list again. Some ideas may become real projects. Other ideas may stay dreams. But the important thing is that your mind does not need to carry them all day. David Allen explains that many people like to organize tasks by context. Context means the situation or environment where you can do the task. For example, some tasks require a phone. Some tasks require a computer. Some tasks require being at home. So you might have lists like phone calls, computer tasks, home tasks. When you organize tasks this way, it becomes easier to choose what to do. For example, imagine you are waiting at the airport. You cannot clean your house there, but you might be able to answer emails or send messages. So you look at your computer list or phone list. When you are at home, you can look at your home tasks list. This way, your system becomes practical and flexible. David Allen believes that a good productivity system should work in real life, not only in theory. It should help you quickly see what actions are possible in the moment. Okay, the fourth step of the getting things done system is called review. Review means looking at your system again and checking that everything is still correct and clear. Think about a garden. If you plant flowers but never return to the garden, the plants may grow in the wrong direction. Weeds may appear. Some plants may need water. But if you visit the garden regularly, you can take care of it. You remove the weeds. You water the plants. You make sure everything grows in the right way. Your productivity system works like this garden. You must check it regularly. The author says that the most important review is called the weekly review. This means that once a week, you take some time to look at your entire system. During the weekly review, you look at your lists. You check your next actions lists. You check your projects list. You check the waiting for list. You also look at your calendar. What did I finish this week? What still needs attention? What new tasks appeared? Are my projects moving forward? You might forget about an important project, or you might stop moving forward on something that matters to you. This review prevents this problem. It keeps your system alive and active. The author says something very interesting. When people skip the review step, they slowly stop trusting their system. Why? Because they feel that their lists are not complete. They worry that something important might be missing. When that happens, the brain begins storing tasks again. The mind becomes full again. But when you review your system regularly, your brain learns something important. It learns that everything is under control. Your brain understands that nothing important will be forgotten. Because of this, the mind becomes calm again. The weekly review usually includes several small actions. First, you collect new ideas. Maybe during the week, you wrote some notes or reminders. You place them into your inbox. Second, you process your inbox. You clarify what each item means and decide the next action. Third, you look at your projects list. You check that every project has at least one next action. If a project has no action, it will stop moving forward. So, during the review, you decide the next step. Fourth, you will check your waiting for list. Maybe someone promised to send you information. Maybe someone was responsible for part of a project. If too much time has passed, you may need to send a message and ask for an update. Finally, you review your someday or maybe list. Sometimes ideas on this list become interesting again. Maybe now is the right time to start something new, or maybe the idea is no longer important. The weekly review helps you make these decisions calmly. David Allen explains that many people feel powerful after doing their first weekly review. They suddenly see their life more clearly. They see their commitments. They see their goals. They see what needs attention and what can wait. Instead of feeling lost in many small tasks, they feel organized. The review step also helps you maintain something very important. That important thing is trust. Your brain must trust the system. Okay, and that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of English Unleashed. If you enjoyed this summary and want to learn English through books, ideas, and stories, make sure to follow the podcast and continue practicing your listening. And remember, small actions done consistently can create powerful change. Bye for now.